honestly, you guys are stupid and white.
Okay.
I'm looking you in the eyes.
Why are you
I'm looking you in the eyes. Okay,
So
I'm stupid. I'm f***ing over this.
you're under arrest for criminal damage because there's an allegation that you've smashed that taxi window. You're also under arrest for racially aggravated public order for the comments that you've said.
Australian soccer star Sam Kerr has made headlines all over the world in the last few days. But this time, it's not for her brilliance on the soccer field. Instead, she's at the center of a legal storm in London. On January 30th, 2023, Kerr and her partner, Kristie Mewis, enjoyed an evening out in the city. Later that night, they hailed a taxi to return home, but an argument ensued. Feeling threatened, the driver diverted the route and drove them to Twickenham Police Station instead of their intended destination. Upon arrival, Kerr, in a drunken state, had a confrontation with Police Constable Stephen Lovell. In the exchange, she referred to him as stupid and white. This remark led to her being charged with racially aggravated harassment under the UK's Public Order Act. The trial, held at Kingston Crown Court, gained widespread media attention due to Kerr's popularity. As we delve deeper into the details of this case, please like and subscribe to stay updated on the hottest crime stories. Samantha May Kerr, born on September 10, 1993, in Fremantle, Western Australia, is an Australian professional soccer player, renowned for her exceptional talent and leadership on the field. She serves as the captain of the Australian women's national team, the Matildas, and plays as a striker for Chelsea FC in the English Women's Super League. Her dynamic playing style, characterized by speed, agility, and a keen goal-scoring ability, has made her one of the most formidable forwards in women's soccer. Kerr's accolades are numerous. She is Australia's all-time leading goal scorer, a two-time NULZ MVP, and was a runner-up for the Ballon d'Or Féminine in 2023. In 2022, she made history as the first female player to grace the global cover of the FIFA video game series, proving her status as an international icon.
How good is Sam Kerr? Yes, she's the best!
To many, she's a national treasure, a role model who inspires young athletes to lace up their boots and chase their dreams. But now, her future hangs in the balance. Recent legal troubles in London could strip her of everything: her fame, her captaincy, her entire career. The stakes have never been higher. What was meant to be a night of joy quickly spiraled into chaos for Sam Kerr and her partner, Kristie Mewis. After Kerr's stunning hat trick for Chelsea, the couple hit the town to celebrate. But as the drinks flowed, the night took an unexpected and troubling turn. After failing to book an Uber 3 times, Kerr and Mewis finally flagged down a London black cab. But the journey soon turned tense. Kerr, feeling sick from the night's drinking, leaned out of the window and began spit vomiting. The driver, understandably upset, asked for compensation to cover cleaning costs. But when the women refused to pay, tensions exploded. The driver, now frustrated, took matters into his own hands. Instead of taking them home, he diverted to Twickenham Police Station. Kerr, however, saw it differently. According to her, the ride became terrifying. She claimed the driver rolled the window up, started acting in a crazy way, and drove erratically, speeding up, stopping suddenly, and repeating this pattern for nearly 20 minutes. Trapped and terrified, both women panicked. I was terrified for my life. We were not in control. I deemed him to be dangerous because of the driving, but also because he could have taken us anywhere. He could be tracked so no one knew where we were, Kerr later said. Mewis, distressed, tried opening the car doors and windows, but they were locked. In desperation, she kicked out the rear window with her boot, shattering the glass. When they arrived at the station, things escalated further. Police found Kerr climbing out of the broken window, her hands cut and bleeding. Witnesses described both women as inebriated, emotional, and in a distressed state. They accused the taxi driver of kidnapping them, but PC Stephen Lovell, the attending officer, was skeptical. Feeling unheard, Kerr lashed out in frustration. The body cam footage on that day was just recently released to the public. In the video, Kerr directed many insults towards PC Lovell, calling him stupid and white. Later, she accused him of siding with the driver instead of taking her fears seriously. "You're sick. You're literally a white privileged person. You are backing a man when two women are saying that we had to break out of a taxi." The words she used has now become the center of her legal troubles. She was being charged with racially aggravated harassment under the UX Public Order Act. At one point, the officer offered Kerr a way out. Pay £1,000 sterling, around $2,000 AUD, for damages or face criminal charges. Confident, she pulled out her phone, flashed her bank balance, and dismissed the fine. Moments later, she was placed under arrest, charged with criminal damage and racially aggravated public disorder. Kerr now faces a possible 6-month jail sentence and a fine of up to $5,000 AUD. For a player who is of Indian descent and has campaigned against racism, the irony is heavy. She pleaded not guilty, but with the trial unfolding, the stakes are high. One of the world's greatest soccer players now faces the toughest battle of her career, not on the field, but in a courtroom. Will this be remembered as a drunken mistake, or will it cost her everything? As Sam Kerr sat in the dock at Kingston Crown Court, prosecutor Bill Hughes played 30 minutes of body cam footage from one of Lovell's colleagues, a crucial piece of evidence in the case against her. The video captured the chaotic exchange between Kerr, her partner Kristie Mewis, and police constable Stephen Lovell on the night of the incident. In the footage, Kerr and Mewis are seen distressed, arguing with officers, and at times breaking down in tears. They repeatedly claim they thought the taxi driver was kidnapping them and feared for their lives. "I hate to break it to you, but when a male is driving a car, for us, for two women, it's scary," Kerr says, her voice filled with frustration. They reference the horrific case of Sarah Everard, a 33-year-old woman who was abducted, raped, and murdered by a serving police officer in London in 2021. To them, the driver's erratic behavior, locking the doors, refusing to let them out, and taking them somewhere they didn't ask to go, felt like the beginning of a nightmare. "This taxi driver held me and her hostage for about 15 minutes. I was like, please, let us out and I will pay whatever you want. We were begging to get out of there. We were trying to escape. We were trapped. You have to understand the emergency that both of us felt. What do you expect us to do as women in that situation?" Kerr claimed in court. As the video continued rolling, it showed that PC Lovell listened but remained firm, telling Kerr and Mewis that while he understood their fears, they were only hypothetical, while the damage to the taxi actually happened. So he gave two choices: pay nearly $2,000 to cover the taxi fare, cleaning costs, and the broken window, or be arrested, charged with criminal damage, and fight it out in court. Kerr, still emotional, refused to pay. "I'm not paying. I will sit here until 4 in the morning and get the Chelsea lawyers on this. I am not backing down," she said. Then comes the remark that changed everything. Kerr called Lovell stupid and white. Shortly after, Kerr and Mewis did end up paying for the damage, and the criminal damage charge was dropped. However, the racially aggravated harassment charge remained. PC Lovell testified that he felt shocked, upset, and humiliated by Kerr's comment. However, it was revealed during cross-examination that in his initial statement, Lovell did not mention the impact of the comment on him. It was only in a subsequent statement provided 11 months after the incident that he detailed the emotional effect of Kerr's words. This delay in reporting the impact raised questions about the credibility and motivations behind the charges. Kerr's defense barrister, Grace Forbes, directly confronted Lovell about his initial statement, which was submitted on the day of the incident on January 30th, 2023. "Your first statement made no mention of stupid and white having had an impact," Forbes pointed out. Lovell admitted that was true. She then accused him of submitting a second statement in December 23, only after the Crown Prosecution Service initially declined to charge Kerr, due to lack of evidence of harassment, alarm, or distress. "You are claiming this impact purely to get a criminal charge over the line?" she asked him. "No," he said. Forbes also challenged Lovell's assumptions about Kerr, suggesting that he had prejudged her because of her celebrity status. You made an assumption about her, that she was a troublemaker, that she was difficult, and because of what she does for a living, she was an arrogant person. Lovell denied this, claiming he didn't even know Kerr, as he's not interested in soccer. However, Forbes called this into question, pointing out that he had told Kerr early on that he knew exactly who she was. Lovell then admitted he was informed by a colleague that she was a famous football player. Despite the defense's challenge, prosecutor Bill Emlyn Jones had Lovell read from his second statement, where he described Kerr's words as too far, and said he took great offense to her remarks about his race. Other officers also testified that Kerr had made multiple comments about white privilege. One officer admitted confusion, stating, "I wasn't sure why Kerr mentioned skin color, as no one had done so previously." The court also heard an audio recording of Kerr's police interview at Twickenham Police Station later that night. She voluntarily went in at 10:30 p.m. without a lawyer. In the recording, Kerr recounted her version of events. She admitted she had vomited out of the taxi window. Then the taxi driver became aggressive and started driving very, very dangerously. Feeling unsafe, she activated the emergency feature on her phone and spoke to someone. Initially, Kerr denied calling officers stupid and white, but after being shown the footage, she admitted she had said it, explaining, "I was obviously intoxicated, and I shouldn't have been so front-footed, but I was very, very threatened with how I felt, and I'm a very honest person. I didn't feel protected at that moment as a female, and I'm here voluntarily because I want this sorted out later." She elaborated on why she didn't feel safe even at the police station.
The fact that we only spoke to 3 males the whole time, even though we had just come from being with a dangerous male, was very, I guess, confronting.
When asked if her words could be perceived as racist, Kerr responded, "I am aware that anything can be perceived as racist for sure." As the trial continued to unfold, lawyer Richard Metry weighed in on the case, explaining that while Kerr did reference Lovell's race, the key issue in the trial would be her intent. Did she speak out of ill will or malice? Or was it simply a reckless, emotional outburst in a moment of distress? Sam Kerr's defense team insisted that while her remarks may have been offensive, they were not motivated by racial hostility. Grace Forbes, her barrister, told Kingston Crown Court that Kerr had no intention to cause harassment, alarm, or distress to Lovell, and even if such an effect was caused, it was not racially aggravated. She emphasized, Samantha Kerr did not feel hostile to this officer because he is white. The words, however poorly expressed, were a comment on positions of power, privilege, and how things might color perception. The defense maintained that Kerr's comments should be understood in the context of her intoxicated state and the fear she felt during the incident. This argument sought to challenge the foundation of the charge against her. Legal experts weighed in on whether Kerr's words could be classified as racist under UK law, and how similar cases might be handled in Australia. Associate Professor Mario Pucker, an expert in racism studies at Victoria University, explained that discrimination involves unequal treatment based on certain characteristics, but that does not automatically make it racism. He stated that for an act to be considered racist, it must include both prejudice and discrimination, along with an unequal power or institutional dynamic. Professor Lucas Leksinski, a human rights law expert at the University of New South Wales, agreed. He added that while UK and Australian laws could allow for an argument that Kerr's remark was discriminatory, the interpretation depends on the court. In Australia, the Racial Discrimination Act 1975 makes it unlawful to treat someone unfairly because of their race, and it also prohibits racial hatred, meaning public actions or words that could offend, insult, humiliate, or intimidate based on race. Leksinski pointed out that the law is written in a neutral way, meaning that in theory, a white person could claim they were a victim of racial hatred. However, he argued that such a claim would likely go against the original intent of the legislation, which is meant to address historical patterns of racial oppression. This idea raises a potential defense for Kerr, As some media reports suggest, her legal team may argue that the case against her is an abuse of process under UK law. Despite these arguments, Leksinski acknowledged that the legal action against Kerr could still succeed. Under UK law, the maximum penalty for racially aggravated harassment is 26 weeks in jail, a serious consequence that could have a lasting impact on Kerr's career and reputation. Kerr herself has admitted that she was drunk, angry, and scared that night. Reflecting on the situation, she expressed deep regret, saying, "I wish I had just gone home. Wish I had walked away and dealt with it in the morning, like I am now." Hindsight is a beautiful thing. She also stated that she would apologize to the officers for the entire event, acknowledging that the situation escalated in a way she now wishes it hadn't. The prosecution maintained that Kerr's comment constituted racially aggravated harassment. They contended that, regardless of her emotional state or intentions at the time, the words she used were inherently racist and had a significant emotional impact on PC level. The prosecution emphasized that accountability must be upheld when it comes to racially charged language, regardless of an individual's status, fame, or personal circumstances. The trial attracted significant media attention, with public opinion divided. Some supporters argued that Kerr's actions were a result of a misunderstanding and intoxication, emphasizing her previously unblemished record and contributions to sport. Many felt that one night of poor judgment should not overshadow years of hard work, leadership, and positive influence. On the other side, critics contended that her status as a high-profile athlete meant she should be held to a higher standard of conduct. They argued that while intoxication and distress might explain her behavior, they do not excuse it. Public figures, they maintained, must be accountable for their words and actions, especially when it comes to racially charged language. Some saw the case as a test of whether elite athletes are given preferential treatment under the law. The outcome of the trial would hold significant implications for Kerr's career. As the captain of the Australian women's soccer team and a prominent player for Chelsea FC, a conviction could have led to disciplinary actions from both her club and national team. Football Australia has refused to make a definitive call on whether or not Sam Kerr will remain the captain of the Matildas until the end of the Football Stars court case.
So now the FA have this massive decision. It's a big role to be Australian captain because you've got to be there for everyone. And she has this mindset about white privilege and white people, then I think they have a problem.
Soccer Australia also indicated that they would await the trial's conclusion before making any decisions. However, the public debate over her leadership has intensified, with growing calls for her to be stripped of the captaincy, regardless of the verdict. In recent months, Steph Catley has stepped in as the interim captain, and with the release of body cam footage showing Kerr's heated exchange with police, many now believe that her conduct was not befitting of a national team leader. The footage, widely circulated online, has fueled backlash from both fans and media figures, who argue that her behavior, regardless of the circumstances, compromises her position as a role model. One of the loudest voices demanding action is 4BC radio host Peter Fagan, who stated that Kerr should be removed from the captaincy immediately. The truth is finally out there, and Sam Kerr can't hide anymore behind Football Australia, Chelsea, or her superstar status. Football Australia is an enormous entity with millions of fans, and those fans deserve answers. "You can't just run and hide," he said. Many fans echoed this sentiment, with some insisting that Kerr's actions do not reflect the qualities of a leader or role model. One user on X wrote, "After seeing the footage, you must come to the conclusion that Sam Kerr isn't a leader or role model, and doesn't display traits worthy of leading our national team." Another commented, "There's no doubting Sam Kerr is an Australian sporting legend, but guilty or not, she has forfeited the right to captain the Matildas. The video is not a good look. She could have handled it a lot better." The criticism didn't stop at her actions that night. Some questioned her response to the controversy, and whether she truly understood the weight of her words. One disappointed fan remarked, "Whilst Sam Kerr's behavior is so disappointing, worse is her apparent lack of remorse or understanding that racial abuse isn't okay, If you didn't really mean it, she's a role model to so many young girls, and her immense privilege comes with a responsibility to do better. Still, not everyone agrees that Kerr should be punished so harshly. Supporters argue that the full context of the incident must be considered, including the fear and stress she was under that night. They maintain that she made a mistake in an extreme situation, and that her contributions to football and the Matildas should be erased because of one moment of poor judgment. For Kerr, the stakes couldn't be higher. This legal battle is no longer just about guilt or innocence. It's about her reputation, her leadership role, and potentially even her future in football. As the 4-day trial nears its conclusion, the world watches to see whether Kerr's gamble, standing firm in her defense, will pay off, or if this will be the moment that changes her career forever. The trial of Sam Kerr highlighted the complexities of legal proceedings involving public figures and the interpretation of racially charged language. It emphasized the need to consider context, intent, and the perspectives of all parties involved. One of the most debated aspects of the case is whether a white person can be racially abused, especially given the rising global conversation around reverse racism and anti-white discrimination. Regardless of where people stand on the issue, this case has challenged traditional perspectives on racial discourse. Are you a fan of Sam Kerr? What do you think about this trial? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated. Until next time.